All right, folks, the hurricane has shaken our children most. Beyond food and clothing, they need protection, emotional support, and safe places. To discuss, we are joined on Zoom by gender and cultural activist and author, Professor Opal Palmer-Adisa. Good morning, Professor. How are you?
Good morning. I am well, all things considered.
Yeah, and I hope and pray that if you have family down in the West area and they're fine, they're safe.
They are fine. I'm very happy for that.
Brilliant. You know, I mentioned to Delia this morning that obviously depending on the age we're talking about, some of the youngsters, things like these probably don't hit them like how it hit the adults and say, boy, you know, they're still running up and down because they, you know, hopefully they can do things and enjoy themselves. How tough would it be for them though, when it really hits them that I don't have a roof, I don't have my bed anymore, I can't sleep in my house anymore? How tough would that be for youngsters?
You know, I'm not a child psychologist, but I've worked with children and I've done some work there in terms of art and media therapy. Children are very much impacted by what happens, and they're particularly impacted by how their parents and the adults around them respond. So while they might not understand fully what has happened, depending on their mother or father or guardian or whomever they live with, and their response really impact children very much. And there's a delayed response that parents and adults who work with children really need to be aware of, that it doesn't happen maybe the first week or the second week, but you begin to notice a change in their behavior. And I think that for me is what is so crucial during this period, because it's going to be a long recovery period. And there's so many emotions that are flying around. There's so much information that children are hearing directly or indirectly, and they don't always know how to piece those together. So the adults around them really need to be more attentive, which is kind of difficult given the situation, and that many of the adults are grappling with, you know, trying to find a home or secure their home and that kind of thing. So we really have to be vigilant with our children. And we have to be patient, which is not necessarily a pattern that I've seen in Jamaican child rearing.
It's one of the things that we have to be as well, Prof, is transparent with our children. If the situation is what it is it important for them to understand, okay, well, listen, there's not going to be any electricity. These are some of the things that we have to do so that they become a part of the solutions as they unfold and not just feel as if they're in the way.
Daily, what you just say is so important, and it's an excellent point for parents to understand. We think, you know, we have to take care of everything and leave them out of it, but they're not ever left out. So they do need to feel a part of the process and the solution, and they do need to be kept informed. They need to know, listen, we don't have any electricity, we don't have any running water, we don't have proper bathroom facilities, and this might go on for longer. And this is what I'm doing. What suggestions do you have? We sometimes fail to understand that our children have solutions, you know, and so we need to let them know what is happening, and we need to say to them, how do you think you can help with this? They are smart, they're intelligent, and they want to help to support and to contribute to not only their own getting back to normal, whatever that is, or how that is going to look in the future, but they also have ideas. And so, yes, transparency is really crucial. Transparency not only in this is what's not happening. For me, one of the greatest alert, because we saw that during COVID, is we have to keep our children safe. And they're extremely vulnerable now because everybody's running around trying to get help. And so it's important that parents also help in this regard in terms of letting children know that some people who are coming to them might not necessarily be coming to them with a good heart. And therefore, these are some warning signs. And if they see these signs, then this is what they need to do.
Yep. Professor Opal, it's a phrase that I use every now and again, that everybody's reality is different. And I was seeing on our news that you have some kids on the street in the Western area begging for stuff, begging for, you know, water and food and stuff. And our reporter asked one, why are you here? And he says, well, his mom sent him out because they don't have anything at home. How do you address that? Because that's a reality. That's a reality. How do you address that?
It is a reality, and it's not even during, I mean, we see it more so now. I see it in Kingston when I'm traveling on the road and the boys are cleaning the white windshield when I think they should be in class, and I usually ask. But yes, parents will be saying to children, boys as well as girls, we don't have anything, go out there and see if you can get some water, go out there if you see anybody can give you bread or something. That is a reality. And we could say to parents, you shouldn't do that, but we know that they're still going to do it. And sometimes some of the children will go on their own. This is why it's important, the transparency aspect of it that Delia mentioned, that parents say, yes, I need you to go and help to seek water, but I also need you to be careful. And I don't think children should be sent out alone, right? I don't think they should be sent, but they're going to be sent. And I think what needs to happen is that parents in the community need to know that children should never be sent out alone, regardless of how desperate the situation is. And parents should always alert children to how it's best to keep safe given that parameter. And it's a very tenuous and difficult situation. But again, you have to say to them, listen, somebody might say, come here and, I'll give you water. And if I do something inappropriate, you have to prepare your children because you cannot be there 24/7. You don't have eyes on them all the time. So you have to tell them, what is some of the darkness? We used to tell them stories about don't go out at night because duppy this, or you have to prepare them for what is there, because unfortunately what we've seen, not only in Jamaica, but in other disaster situations, is that there are predators who come out at this time, because they know that people are distracted and they know that children are vulnerable. So it's crucial not to further traumatize, because even though you see them out there playing, it doesn't mean they haven't been traumatized. It doesn't mean that the wind now will mean something different to them. I have a student and she has a 12-year-old and she says her daughter is now terrified of the wind, and they weren't in a really, really bad area. So the fact that you see children playing and laughing and doesn't mean that the terror and the trauma isn't a part of their reality. And we prepare them by understanding that there's financial needs and they might need to go help to get water or bread, but we cannot just send them out there alone, and we cannot send them out thinking that everybody who might offer bread or water is kind and isn't a predator.
Yeah, one of the things that from very early we were worried about is learning loss, but also how do we balance the learning loss with the emotional trauma that the children are experiencing? How do we create safe spaces? Do we create those spaces at the schools? Where does that happen?
Well, I think it has to happen at the school. Now I've adopted a school and they're still struggling with cleaning demolition in Hanover, right? But there are 167 children there. What the government and the Ministry of Education needs to do, every school that has been damaged, get large tents or get tents that can be put up, and portable potties that can be put up, so that the children and the parents know that there's a safe space for the children, and there's also a space where they can get food and water, so they don't have to be going out in various places begging. So I really want to encourage our Minister of Education, the Minister of Health, and the government, to every school that has been damaged, make sure that by next week there are tents that are put up where children can go to school. And now we know that there's a lot of portable network systems that have been brought into the island and that can be brought into the island. So that can also be a situation where you give them a TV. I know there's security issues, but we have the JFDC, you give them a monitor so that they can get lessons over the internet. But if we don't have that, give them a safe space where they can gather every day and where they can get water and meals and where they can do teaching. Our teachers are enormously creative. And I've seen some interviews of some of the teachers in the areas. They are ready and willing. They just need a space and they will provide lessons. I mean, our children are so far behind because of COVID. We lost 40,000, which I don't think we have yet accounted
Covered.
for, over the COVID loss. We don't want to lose any more. Jamaica cannot afford it. We talk about our future. This is real. And if this gap goes, and we're thinking about at least a year in recovery for most of these areas, we can't afford for our children not to be educated. And it's easy. It's, well, not easy. The solution is not as complicated as we want to make it, because there are large tents that can be brought in, there are portable chairs that can be brought in, there are portable potties, and those can be put in place with all of these various agencies and support we have. Focus on the children. Focus on making sure that the school sites are cleared of the rubble and that there's a space where our children can go and get an education and be fed and be protected.
It's going to be a long road, isn't it, Prof?
I didn't hear that.
I said it's going to be a long road.
It is going to be a long road. And listen, I have adopted a school, Chester Castle in Hanover, because that's where my grandmother was from. And I remember as a child going there and having fun. And I'm in communication with the principal, and they lost the roof and they lost the place for the facility. I want to encourage my fellow colleagues and people of means to adopt a school, and to work with the school, with the ministry and other means to ensure that the school gets a supply. There's 186 children at this school between the ages of 4 to 12. I have some relatives of means in the US, so I'm organizing for, backpacks to be sent for the children with school books, learning books that they can do, and clothes and some other just basic stuff. So we need to adopt schools. People need to be trained because there's not enough social workers or counselors. I don't know. I know the Red Cross was running, because I got my PFA in October, the professional first aid. So the Red Cross runs that, and I'm sure they'll be running that for other people who want to be educated and to be able to help, because it's going to take more than these government institutions. It's going to take citizens who have skills, who have education, who have time to say, I am going to volunteer. So I want to really encourage people to adopt the schools and to speak with the principal and the administration and to see what support they can provide, not just in terms of helping to ensure that the students, the children in that area, have a normal school day with the proper food, at least 2 meals, breakfast and lunch, but that they have a way of being instructed, and so that they can keep up with their learning.
Thank you for what you're doing. Thank you for speaking with us. We love
Thank you.
Thank you, Professor, gender and cultural activist and author, Professor Opal Palmer Adisa. But I want Delia to read something as we go to the break.
Yeah, this is Louise Bennett capturing the effect of earthquake night on a child. And she says, me or Severna baby, 3-year-old December gone, when never cut her teeth, nor walk, nor talk good from it born. When everybody run from shock and left it one for dead, the picnic holler, poor me girl, and run under the bed.
Thanks again, Prof.
Thank you. And thank you for just making sure we understand the importance of keeping our eyes and ears on the children.
God bless you. Coming up, folks, artificial intelligence and the future of television. Dolls. We'll have that one soon coming.